Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio with Ralph Michaels and Bryan Leonard. We're heading to the SEC, and we've got Tennessee and Georgia. And guys, I think Tennessee is going to be just a hair faster this week because they got that monkey off their back that they've been carrying for a long time against Florida last week. Ralph, I'll go to you first. Tennessee didn't look good early on, and Florida had the big lead, and I'm sure my buddy there in the middle was, loving that with that lunch bet last week. And then Tennessee just went on a run. What'd they score? 38 straight points?
38-3.
38. Unbelievable game. I mean, you talk about a tale of two halves, and that definitely was it.
I think that second half changed this line almost a field goal. Let's look at the beginning of the year. Tennessee was clearly the pick to win the SEC East. Florida and Georgia were the number two and three teams in that division. And Tennessee was only a 1-point favorite at Georgia for the games of the year. Fast forward to last week, prior to those games, Georgia was ahead of Tennessee in both the AP and the coaches poll. So what happened? Tennessee beat Florida as a home favorite like they should have. Georgia went on the road to an SEC team, was the underdog. And now because of that, the polls flopped, and Georgia's getting almost 3.5 points. I think a huge overreaction, and one of those games where I like the dog because of what happened last week.
Yeah, the Georgia game on the road, though, they got the snot knocked out of them at Mississippi.
How pissed off was a Mississippi team that blew that lead to Alabama and now has a true freshman making a road start in only his third road start of the year in back-to-back SEC road games?
Bryan, last week, because the Tennessee-Florida game was a huge game, and on our radio show on SB Nation, we had a beat writer from Tennessee. And one of the things I said to him was, this Tennessee team plays better from behind. And the reason that they do is the coach, Butch Jones, he's so conservative when the game is at the beginning of the game, we're tied or he's got a lead, he goes conservative. He finally takes the reins off when he has no choice to. Do you think that at some point he finally wakes up and keeps the reins off of Joshua Dobbs? Because I love this kid. He can beat you with his arm and he can beat you with his feet, but he hasn't been going downfield. They haven't been stretching the field, and they got some very talented receivers on this team, which they utilized last week finally because they had to out of necessity.
That's one of the reasons why everybody's picking Tennessee to win that side of the division. I don't know if he's going to open it up. It's tough for people to change overnight on something like that. What I'm worried about Tennessee now is because they were so excited about winning that game, now they're playing a Georgia team who has not looked good all season long. Will they come into this game overconfident? And they're in a situation, they're the road favorite in this one. Normally you would say Tennessee's going to have a letdown. The problem is Georgia has done nothing so far this season. I don't trust either one of these teams. And you were talking about how they got the monkey off their back, they're going to be able to run faster. Well, now that I lost that lunch bet to you, you're not going to be able to run any faster after today.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure I'm going to eat good and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm probably going to tweet out some pictures, too, of you paying for the check, because that doesn't happen often, Ralph, as you would know, growing up with this guy. You look at this Georgia team and really, they're 3-1, but they're really lucky to be 3-1 or that. They struggled with a Nickel State team that they should have never struggled with. And I look at what Missouri did against them. Missouri hasn't had an offense the last couple of years, and they moved the football. They passed on them very well. If Tennessee, then that's a big if they come focused and they, take the reins off Dobbs, they could do some damage against this defense.
Okay, we have Joshua Dobbs, a experienced SEC quarterback. He played home games against Appalachian State, Ohio, and Florida, and a neutral game where they had the edge against Virginia Tech. That Dobbs quarterback is 57% with a 10-5 ratio. You have a true freshman on Georgia's side. His first start was against Nickel State. You can understand him struggling. Road games against Missouri and Mississippi, he's 52% with a 5-3 ratio, almost the same. That Tennessee squad, 3 home games and 1 neutral, plus 34 yards per game. That Georgia State team, 3 FBS foes, all away from home. Neutral against North Carolina, on the road Missouri, on the road Mississippi, minus 6 yards per game. Again, perception. What happened last week, I think, is really swaying people's opinions. You put the teams on paper, Georgia's the better team this year. Now, the negative here is Chubb's probably not going to play, but you do have Sonny Michel, who last year rushed for 1,160 yards, and they went 6-1 with him as a starter down the stretch, so I'm not that concerned about him. Trust me, I'd rather have Nick Chubb in the backfield, but again, without him, I think that's worth about a point to the line, but still, I think you got a field goal overreaction. You got Tennessee on a first road game. You got Georgia on their first home FBS opponent. I like the home dog again.
For a second, I thought he meant you weren't going to play.
Well, I was going to say, he knows very well about playing without a Chubb. He's getting older.
All right. Do you have an opinion on this one, Chubbs?
I don't know what to take here. I'm going to sit back and look. That's the good thing about betting is you don't got to bet every game.
You don't have to bet every game. This one's got some definitely national attention. If Tennessee, and it is a big if, I think if they come in here focused, that they don't have that letdown, I think they can get the job done here. I'm not impressed with Georgia, and I know Tennessee has been up and down like a roller coaster all year, but if you look at the games that they played, and I brought this out last week whenever we were talking about the game, the Appalachian State game was the game before the 150,000 seat game in the Motor Speedway. Then they beat Virginia Tech. They had the great game, the 150,000 people. They had the letdown the following week again, looking ahead to the Florida game. This is going to be the game, I think, that dictates which way we're going to go on this Tennessee team the rest of the season. They come out focused, I'll be riding this team a lot because they're going to live up to expectations. I got a mild vote to Tennessee.
You can't get focused every week. I mean, they had their highest focus against Florida. You can't be your highest focused of the year back-to-back weeks.
But they do have a big, the bigger picture is this team thinks they can get themselves into the national championship, but they got to get past an Alabama team in 3 weeks. That'll be where they're at. But if they stub their toe, that game means nothing. So we got you on Georgia, you on the fence, the poor fence, and I got Tennessee. So take it for what it's worth. And guys, if you want to save $10 this week at WagerTalk, use coupon code touchdown10. That's touchdown spelled out in the number 10, and you'll get $10 off any package this weekend at WagerTalk. We'll be back with more here at WagerTalk.